For example, somebody who's worked at a company for 20-something years and they've been coding or they've been programming all their lives, how would they approach their job search and use code different from what somebody who's been doing the same job totally wants to go into another field? I mean, how would each of those individuals apply code? Can you give us some brief examples?
Sure. So you're asking how the person who has been in the field, who wants to stay in the field, would apply code.
Right.
And then how a person who has been in the field and wants to reposition themselves for a new opportunity would use code. Okay, so let's answer your first question.
Okay.
How a person who's been a coder, which I find very ironic, okay, so they write commands for how software systems should behave in relation to hardware, or how hardware systems should behave. They're coding, and they're trying to use code, how I communicate, organize, document, and evaluate to get another job coding.
Correct.
Okay, so whoever is going to be interviewing you for that role may have an unspoken agenda as to what you're really going to do in terms of the value you're going to deliver to the organization.
Yes.
And they may be hoping that you understand how to innovate in your role, and that may not be expressed in the interview. What gets you in the door is your list of certifications and all the technical talent you bring. What keeps you in the door is the perceived solution that you provide, because people don't hire other people. What they hire are solutions to their problems. So the real question you asked, how does he get another job doing what he's done, is going to be answered by how is he positioning himself as a unique solution for the company that he's going to try to get a job with.
Correct.
And to me, he's got to ask questions and do his homework and research to understand, you know, what does this role represent in terms of the problem it's got to solve for the company? What is the problem the company is trying to solve by fulfilling and hiring for this role? Does he know the answer to that? You know, before he walks in for the interview, he needs to be familiar with the company history. He needs to know what challenges the industry as a whole faces. He needs to look at his resume and review it to ask the question, how has my technical certification really positioned me to be a unique solution and skill set for those who have had the smarts to hire me in the past? And he needs to prepare. How do you prepare for that interview? Well, you've got to ask questions like, you know, strategically, what problem are you trying to solve with this hire? What is your definition of success? And 6 months after you fill this role, if you hire me, what will I have done for you, specifically in quantifiable measures?
Right.
And finally, they will also ask the question, what are your expectations, your performance expectations going into this, so that I can both meet and exceed those expectations in the future. You'll have a degree of urgency. You'll be willing to ask critical closing questions. And show some moxie at these interviews. Right. If I were to suggest one thing to any one person, it's to get outside your comfort zone, get personable with the people you're talking to, and understand what as a company makes them passionate, proficient, and profitable. That can really position you well. Okay, so let's talk about the other candidate you mentioned.
Yes. Someone
who's trying to get outside their core role. The first thing I would suggest to you is that you take time to know yourself. Ralph Waldo Emerson said, know then thyself. And that's an important thing. You know, who are you as a person? What are your skill sets and hobbies outside of the job you've fulfilled up to now? Is it time for you to pursue a dream? Do you know what your dream is? Michael Gerber wrote the book, Awakening the Entrepreneur Within. And it helps you recognize your dream, what you were put on this earth and purpose. What's your purpose? And I believe every person has got to know intuitively what their purpose is. No matter what you're doing, you've got to be serving your purpose. And so if you can align your passion with what makes you proficient as a person and where your interests are, you're going to have just phenomenal opportunity to explode. And for me, for example, I love people. I love process. And God has given me one opportunity after another to merge my interest in both people and process to create things like code. So I've taken a lot of risks in doing this, but it's been a wonderful fulfillment of what I'm here on this earth to do.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about your book?
Yeah.
Any
Yeah.
current status on that?
Well, I just sent it off to my agent yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to be put before major publishers. And my hopes are that they will see the audience I'm speaking to, which includes people who are unemployed, looking for a way to sharpen and differentiate their skill sets. I'm hoping that entrepreneurs will look at this and see within it a methodology that they can use to replicate their skill sets as rainmakers, translating down through companies the processes, the skills, the roles and responsibilities, accountability and measures to drive organizational performance.
Right.
How do we become a selling machine as a company? Answering that question
Mm-hmm.
using very simple concepts that people can understand. Too frequently, sales gets wrapped up in complicated marketing methods, that it gets wrapped up in terms that people don't understand.
Uh-huh. Yes.
And code has got to be simple and intuitive. Code is a way in which you can think about the human architecture of a company. It is a genetic blueprint for highly scalable companies. It's how we communicate, organize, document, and evaluate every phase of what we do, why we do, and how we do it. I have developed code for marketing and sales,
Uh-huh.
and I know other experts will step in and develop it for operational excellence or accounting excellence. But my goal with this book is to speak to people who are unemployed, to inspire them in how to reposition themselves to be perceived as part of the solution.
Mm-hmm.
Because the flat-out new axiom is this: to the degree in which you can go bring in new business for the company,
Yes.
you're indispensable.
Right.
You won't lose your job, and that's good.
That's good. And if the people want to contact you, how would they reach you? Or
They're welcome to email me at eallen, E-A-L-L-E-N,
mm-hmm.
at marketsmarts, marketsmartz.com,
Mm-hmm.
and you can visit me on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Names
Okay.
as well.
It's been a pleasure talking to you,
All right,
Elizabeth.
thank you.
Remember, it's all in the code.
That's right. I appreciate